And that's something that I see a lot of business owners struggle with. To do something great, you'll likely have to leave something average behind. They outgrow their life, they outgrow their friends, sometimes even their family. When your confidence goes up, some people want to shoot you down. Welcome to the Bringing Business to Retail podcast, where I, Selena Knight, share strategies, interview retail revolutionaries, and delve into the minds of e-commerce experts to help you grow a profitable, independent retail or e-commerce business. If you're stuck in a rut, or if you feel like business is way harder than it should be, or you've overachieved all of the things that you've set out to and are wondering what to do next, or how do I even make this better? I know that you're going to love today's episode. Hey there, and welcome to today's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. I'm Selena Knight, and if you're looking to stop winging it in business and to build a store that fills your soul and your bank account, then you have come to the exact right place. Now, today's episode isn't going to be filled with strategies that you can use to grow your business. Today is Confession Day. That's right. I have a confession to make. And I'm sharing this with you because I feel like there might be a lot of people listening who have this same confession that they have been keeping hidden. On the outside, it all looks rosy, but deep down inside, there is a secret that they don't want anyone to know. So this is my confession. My name is Selena Knight, and I don't have a lot of friends. And if this is your confession too, you can just do a silent little nod and know that I am with you. So here's the thing. I've never had a lot of friends. Even from when I was a child, we used to move around a lot. I mean, sometimes we would move house every 6 months. I worked it out once. I think I went to something like 9 or 10 schools in 12 years. But that's only if you count the school that I went to twice as one school. Otherwise, I went to like 12 schools, 11 or 12 schools in 12 years, which is just ridiculous. I mean, how can anybody make friends if they're at a school sometimes for 6 months or less? Now, something else you may not know about me is as much as I like to talk, and I will talk to pretty much anyone about anything, I'm the kind of person who, when you sit next to me on the bus, I will have a conversation with you. You've got to put your earbuds in and pretend that I don't exist for me to not want to talk to you. And as much as I am an extrovert and I love being around people, and clearly I love to talk, I never really had that ability to make friends easily. Like my best friend, who I was friends with from about the age of 11 or 12, she was one of those people. She was funny, she was a little bit quirky, and people loved to hang around her. She actually went to that same school that I went to twice, and through all the things that happened in our very tumultuous lives, we always had each other. And so we always kind of found our way back to each other. In that school that I went to twice, and one was in year 7 and then again in year 11 and year 12. So you can imagine year 11 and 12, it was a public girls' school. It was in a pretty lower to middle income area. So lots of people doing it tough, lots of cliques, because by the time you get to year 11 and 12 at school, you've had friends for 11 or 12 years. And my friend Michelle was just great at attracting people, whether it was from her comedic humor or her quirky jokes that she used to come out with. People just liked hanging around her. And so by default, I ended up with a group of friends because, hey, we were besties. So everywhere we went together. And so I ended up with this small group of friends. But they weren't really my friends. I mean, they were kind of her friends, and I just happened to be there. So all through those school years, I guess I felt like I never really fit in. And I guess that kind of carried over to adult life. So when I left school, and at this point I'd also left home and was living with my boyfriend at the time's mother. Long story, if you've been around for a while, you'll know that story. But when I finished high school, when I finished year 12, I moved to a very, very different neighborhood. I moved from that kind of lower to middle income, out in the suburbs. Everybody has the 3-bedroom, fibro house, to the inner west of Sydney, where people had tattoos and piercings and wore lots of black and listened to lots of music and went to clubs and did all the things. It was so eye-opening for me, but also such a cultural shock because nobody fit in that suburb. Everybody had groups of people who just by default you fit into because maybe you liked the same music or you dressed the same way. And I found that to be that fresh start that I needed. And I did collect a few friends along the way. And I'm sure when you look back at your life, you'll probably see that this has happened for you as well. As you get a little bit older, you get a little bit wiser, your priorities change. And when I was hanging around, living in Newtown with my friends who, some of them didn't have jobs, some of them just like to sit around and smoke pot on the weekends, but that wasn't me. I loved to be out there doing things. I'm an action person. I can't think of anything worse than just sitting around smoking pot. And so I outgrew those friends. And here is the title of the podcast, which is to create something great, you're most likely going to have to leave something average behind. And you can think of it as simply outgrowing that stage of life where you're at. So I left behind the pot smoking hippies and I ended up buying my own apartment. And that was something that never even entered the minds of the people I was hanging with then. But that was something that I really, really wanted. And I knew that for me to achieve that, I was going to have to leave these people behind. And this seems to be a recurring theme throughout my life. So when I moved into my own apartment and I had a great job, I met my next best friend when I was in my 20s at, of all places, kickboxing classes. Hey, I did say that I liked action. I do like to be active and out there and doing different things. So I met my nextest best friend, if that's what you'd like to call her, Rachel, when I was in my 20s, and we got along so well together. We were like the odd couple. She loved to go out. She was always the life of the party. And she'd push you out of your comfort zone so that you had lots of fun. But she also didn't have 2 cents to rub together. So I, on the other hand, I had my savings, I had my own apartment. I was the nerdy kid who kind of had their life together. So she pushed me out of my comfort zone to actually enjoy life a little bit more. And I helped her to build that nest egg, to put together a financial plan. I sound so boring and geeky right now. I trust you. We didn't sit down with spreadsheets. It was just what happens. It's that osmosis of hanging around with different people. You take on some of their traits, you take on some of their beliefs, and hopefully it all works out for the better. So fast forward, a decade or so, and as much as I'm still friends with Michelle and Rachel, we grow up, people move away, we have kids, life gets in the way. And so when I had Lana, I found I fell into the same rut all over again. I didn't have anything in common with the mums groups because I was working, I ran my own business, and a lot of the ladies at school were able to stay at home, which is great. I loved working, but I didn't have a connection with them because I was at work and they were at home, and I didn't want to even be at home. So it's not like I even felt like I was missing out. I don't know, is that something that you felt as well? This I think this is why they say owning a business or being an entrepreneur is so lonely. It's because nobody else really gets you. They don't understand that drive and that passion and that determination that we have. And the fact that it's not a business and personal life thing, it is part of our DNA. So it all kind of meshes together. So I will put my hand up and say, I have not been a wallflower. I have put myself out there to try and find more friends. I've tried business networking groups, but you know me, I'm opinionated and I really like helping people. And sometimes that need to help people to fix things can come off as being, a little bit bitchy. I'm really enthusiastic and I'm super passionate, which means sometimes I guess I can feel a little bit overbearing and I can get a little bit loud, and that's not for everyone. I also know that I like the things that I enjoy is I love renovating properties. I love money. I love what it can do, and I love being able to make it and create it and help other people make it. And I mean, I'm sure you can hear in my voice how excited I'm getting about this stuff. I am just as comfortable talking about replacing subfloors and tile pattern combinations as I am talking about automated funnels and customer journeys and customer lifetime value. When you're passionate about stuff, it comes out. So this is the trick, isn't it, to finding friends, is you have to find other people who have this unique set of interests that will alienate you from so many other people. And just to put this in perspective, as a mum, it can be difficult to make friends because, and one of my friends actually said this to me, is you end up with this dynamic where in a family, to have those really great friends, the ones that always come over for dinner, the ones you go on holidays with, you have this triangular dynamic that you have to fulfill. You have the wives have to like each other, the partners have to like each other, the partners have to like the partners of the other person, and the kids have to like each other, and then the parents of the other family have to like the kids. Hopefully you've kind of got that in your head. You know what I'm trying to say. But when one of those doesn't work, then the dynamic is off. And it can be quite difficult to be able to separate being a person and a business owner from being a mum and a partner. And sometimes it just feels like it's way too hard. But I am nothing if not determined. And I was going through one of those phases just before COVID where it was like, you know what? I need to find some new friends. So I joined a local Facebook group of ladies all around my age, and there's loads of different events, everything from going for a walk to going surfing to going to the movies to going to dinner. And I went to one of the dinners and I had loads of fun on that first, in air quotes, date. But then COVID hit, and so we did nothing. We all did nothing. For pretty much 2 years, we did nothing and we saw no one. Now, all of you introverts probably love that. Me, not so much. So it doesn't matter whether you're an introvert or an extrovert. The fact is, we need to have people around us that support us in different areas of our lives. I've talked on the podcast before about having a business advisory board, having those people that you can turn to if you've got a financial question, if you've got a marketing question, if you've got a growth question, whatever that is looks like, you put together your business advisory board. But you probably should have, we all should have, a personal advisory board as well. That group of people, like when we were teenagers, that we turn to for different advice about different areas in our business. And so my husband is like the biggest cheerleader. He will always tell me that I can do something. I know that I am so lucky to have him. And I also have an amazing team, some of which I have been friends with for over a decade. But I've lost that tight inner circle. So this year, in fact, last month, I decided that had to change. And I didn't know what the answer looked like. What I did know was that I was floundering. There was so much growth on the horizon. We were doing some great things. If you've been listening for a while, you'll know all about the government tender and lots of other opportunities that we're currently working on, but I felt like I was paralyzed and I couldn't make decisions. Now, maybe that had something to do with the fact that I was almost paralyzed. When I hurt my back early this year, I was completely incapacitated. I could hardly walk. And of course, when you're in lots of pain, you can't make great decisions. But what I found was that scenario, it dragged me back into playing small. I really struggled to make big decisions. I knew what I wanted, but I was always playing it safe. Now, the good thing is, I know what that looks like. And so I was able to put my finger on it and pinpoint it pretty quickly. I know I have a really big vision for what I want to achieve in life, and I know that I need help to pull it off. And I also know that as a human, I like talking to people who nerd out on business stuff, who are totally okay talking about money and funnels and customer acquisition and buying and selling property. I want to have those friends who get me and who are also doing great things so that when I'm around them, I'm inspired, not feeling like I have to be someone that I'm not. I want to be around people that lift me up and push me out of my comfort zone. And maybe right now you're nodding along with me. Maybe some of this does resonate with you. Maybe you're going through the exact same thing. And here's the hard part is, like right back at the beginning of the story, you get to a point in your life where you outgrow where you are right now. And it's something that I see a lot of business owners struggle with. Because to do something great, to be something great, you're going to hit that point where you have to leave something average behind. And so many business owners, I see they outgrow their life. And that might be their friends, or sometimes it's even their family. If you've been around for a while, you'll know that it's a problem that I've had with my family. My dad feels very alienated by the fact that I've built something for my life, that I have a nice house and I have a nice car and I go on holidays and I make money, because we grew up really, really poor, and he is still quite poor, but that's his choice. He doesn't want anything else. Trust me, I have tried to get him, I've tried to help him, I've tried to get him to change his mind, but that's not what he wants. And that can be so difficult when your family don't get you. And if you have a family like mine where these money problems, these money issues, these money beliefs are so deeply ingrained that the minute that they're confronted with money, in whatever shape that or form that looks like, sometimes it's even just success, those people start looking for any excuse to bring you back down to their level. And it is so painful when it is your family. But here's the other thing. As your business grows, as your confidence grows, and as you become more successful, there will be people who want to shoot you down. But to do something great, to create something great, you have to leave average behind. Now, it's not just friends and family. Sometimes it's even your team. Someone who was a great part of your team at the beginning just isn't right for where you're headed. That's okay. That is part of business growth. Remember, what got you here will not get you there. And sometimes that is people, sometimes that is your own beliefs and even your own values. As you grow, what you want changes. And you don't have to be sorry for that. You have to embrace that. So as I wrap up this episode, I don't have any strategies for you. I will say that the ball is in your court and you should go and find the people that you need to take you to the next level, whatever that looks like. I've been lucky enough to, after all my searching, something popped up in my Facebook. It looked like all the things that I was searching for. It's a members club for entrepreneur, and it's all about connecting successful people. It's not a BNI where you're trying to sell your products and services to other members. And it was quite nerve-wracking to get in. I had to go through 2 interviews to make sure I was the right kind of person. And that in and of itself was very stressful because nobody wants to be rejected, right? It's all those childhood things, all those childhood fears raising their heads back up again. What if I'm not good enough? What if they don't want me? But I'm pleased to say that I did get into the club and I've already met some really amazing people. And I am super excited about what hanging out with entrepreneurs who are achieving great things is going to help me do in my business and to help you guys as well. So put yourself out there, find your people, and remember, to be something great, you're going to have to leave something average behind. If you have enjoyed this episode, if you've connected with anything that I've said, I'd love it if you could head over to your platform of choice and leave me a review. Tell me what you've loved, what you'd love to hear more of, and I will see you right back here, same time next week with a new episode. Bye. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. You can find all of the show notes over at selinaknight.com. If you found something that you heard today particularly useful, I'd love it if you could leave me a review on iTunes or Stitcher. And of course, feel free to share this episode with someone that you think could benefit by listening to it. Want more retail biz strategies? You can watch the Bringing Business to Retail TV show, where each week I'll answer a question or provide you with a simple, actionable retail biz strategy that you can implement in your business right away. If you have a question or a guest, I'd love to hear from you. Drop my team an email at podcast@selinaknight.com, and I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great week.